Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Convention Confessional. My name is Katy Hunt, and I'm here to guide you through the good, the bad, and the ugly of the convention world. And sometimes I do it with the help of my friends. I sound horrible. Okay, so I've had COVID for like the last week, but I'm still recording because the show must go on, and I don't have to talk to anybody in person. Thanks, podcast. But I just sound like absolute trash this week. So it is not your phones. It is just this is how I sound, and I'm living with it. So, anyways, Doug's here. Hi, Doug.
Hey, welcome. Hey there. I'm glad to be back again.
Ooh!
I promise to talk so you sound better
Thanks,
because my voice will be that bad.
Doug's here to soothe you all with his sweet vocals while I die in a corner. So how you doing, Doug?
I am doing all right. Recovering from Otakon
Mm-hmm.
again for the 21st time or
Sure.
22nd time.
You've been to Otakon enough times it can drink.
Yep, my first Otakon badge is old enough to drink.
What? That's crazy.
Yep, and I haven't missed one in any time since then.
Wow.
I even count the virtual one they did in 2020.
Wow.
Because I presented there, so.
Damn. I know. I mean, pretty soon my first AB badge is going to be 20.
Yep.
Which
that's coming up.
That's crazy to me. It's like, oh god, I really have been doing this long. Ew.
It's no longer a phase, Mom and Dad.
I think it's sticking around.
This is who I am.
You have to accept me. It's like, all right, but you're also like 36 and living in my house. It's like, shut up, Mom. Got it. Okay, I got it. Doug, what brings you here besides me beckoning in the night?
Well, I think the fact that we were talking about my very first anime convention badge, or pretty much my first convention badge, is a good topic because there's something on that badge. And also, well, a couple weeks back I was commenting on one sort of thing, past story, and I said, oh, this is like one of my favorite convention memories. It's a little bit too long to post on Twitter, but ask me about it sometime. And some Twitter account, I don't know, Convention Confessional or something, said, okay, I will.
That guy.
Yep. But so the thing that is on my very first Otakon badge is a picture from Gundam Wing Endless Waltz. And well, I've done a lot of interesting things related to Gundam at conventions.
Well, when you say it like that, Doug, it sounds pretty promiscuous.
I mean, I have a set of stories that there's gonna we're gonna run the gamut here.
Well, there's my R rating.
Strong PG-13.
Strong. Oh boy.
But yeah, I've definitely done some stuff that
with not proud of.
Maybe if my older self saw my younger self, he'd smack him in the back of the head. But at the same time, I'm like, interesting decisions make interesting stories.
It is true. That is true. The worst life choices make the best life stories.
So,
God, I want that on those like wooden plaques the moms have in their bathroom.
Seriously.
Oh my God, I'm gonna make you one, Doug.
I need that along with I've seen the cross stitch pattern for the Simpsons quote of just in this house we obey the laws of thermodynamics. I'll get those two together. It'll be perfect.
I have a cross stitch somewhere, and if I find it, I'll frame it for you. But it's like, behold my field of fucks, and look upon it and see that it is barren. But it's a very pretty cross stitch.
Yes, but I give many fucks about the Mobile Suit Gundam franchise.
This is beautiful. It's only 5 minutes in. Let's go, Doug. Let's hear it.
So, okay, even at my very first Otakon, like my first convention, and only went for a day, I grabbed a couple things and whatnot. I've found lots of Gundam merchandise and back then, and I now run a panel that I do kind of regularly. Not every convention I go to, but I often submit it and I update it and stuff. That's all about Gundam merchandise, and
Hmm.
it's really fun. But the very first time I went to Otakon in 2001, I found a dealer selling some video games and stuff like American games, and they had one PS2 game called Mobile Gundam Journey to Jaburo, which covers kind of the first 2/3 of the original series story,
Hmm.
and I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to double check this, but even though I already owned a PlayStation 2, I bought a PlayStation 2 specifically so I could play Chrono Cross, which yes, I realize is a PS1 game,
Hmm.
but because I'm also obsessed with Chrono Trigger as one of my all-time favorite games.
Hmm.
But I was like, I'll get the PS2, and that way I can play future games and all the old PlayStation games because backwards compatibility.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure Journey to Jaburo, which was, as far as I know, the first time a Gundam game had been released, like in an American version of it, and that was the first PlayStation 2 uh, game that I ever bought at Otakon.
Right.
I also had, and I don't know if I still have it. It may be buried somewhere. A Japanese only console that was kind of akin to the original Game Boy, black and white, but had cartridges called a Wonder Swan. And I got a game called like Mobile Suit Versus, like MSVS.
Yep.
I had never studied any Japanese at that point. So I never got past the first stage. It was an experience. But no, my cousin had gotten me that because at the time she was traveling to Japan and stuff. But I had some interesting, it was an interesting experience and one of the first kind of things that I've bought in for Gundam merchandise at a con, and
Hmm.
the trend hasn't really stopped. It has peaks and valleys, but it never really stops. Um, but one of the things I can't remember the exact date. I'm pretty sure it was Otakon 2004. It may have been 2003.
Okay.
Um, at that time, I had really become obsessed with this one action figure line that was actually, some of them were getting released in American versions. Not as, the thing was, the American versions, like some of the parts qualities weren't as good, but this is a action figure line called Mobile Suit in Action.
Okay.
Or,
I
and
remember
like,
those.
yep. So I got some of those. Like, and I got those. I had done the thing where like in where I was going to college, there was like a toy liquidator store,
Hmm.
and they were trying to get rid of stuff, and they had a bunch of Gundam figures, and I cleaned them out. Like I got like one of everything,
Nice.
like to the point that like some of the Gundam wing models, one version of the figure had yellow paint, one version had it gold paint, just like they changed it partway through. So
Mm.
I got like two of a couple figures because I wanted both versions.
Right.
But I'm paying like $3 for a brand new figure in packaging.
Right.
And I had been doing the things like starting to use eBay, which is a very dangerous thing that age.
Yeah.
um, but at that point, I had come around to G Gundam. Like initially, I thought G Gundam was the stupidest thing ever because it's like, this isn't a Gundam, it's not a war thing, it's a martial arts one.
Yeah. 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 I totally get it. It
It's just
wasn't
racial
my favorite.
stereotypes. And then I
Yeah.
realized it's ridiculous, and that's what makes it wonderful. Like I legit love, like really nowadays, I love G Gundam. I think it's one of the best things. But there was one vendor at back to Otakon
Mhm.
had the figure of the original form of the Devil Gundam, which is kind of the big monster thing at the for the entire series.
Right.
If you look at like listeners, take a moment, go into Google image search, and look up Devil Gundam original form. Like I'm gonna have you do this as well.
I'm on it. I'm on it.
Yeah,
What
so
is it?
that's
Devil Gundam.
original form
Devil
or first form.
Gundam original form.
Let's see if that finds it. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, so it's the bigger of the things. Like it's about the fourth thing in Google image search.
it kind of looks like a rhino.
Kind of like a giant lobster thing with, I
Yeah,
guess, spider legs and
yeah,
stuff. That thing is weird, right?
yeah.
And someone had the figure of it,
You.
and no, not me yet.
Not yet. I don't think there's a yet.
I saw that. But I was like, I've since learned as an adult, I just gravitate to the weirdo designs. Like the bigger, the weirder, the better, because I myself I'm big and weird, I guess.
No.
um, but I asked the dealer, like, how much was it, and I want to say I think he said $40, which was a pretty good price because this was the Japanese version of it too, not the American release of it. And I was like, I checked like my wallet, and it's like, oh, I only have like $5, and this is again like 2004, maybe 2003. This is
Sure.
in the days before most vendors can take cards,
Right.
and so little me, or not so little me, young me was like, "Can you hold it? I really, 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 really want it." And he's like, "I can hold it for half an hour, but after that, I can't. Like, I can't make any promises."
Uh,
And I'm like, "Yeah, okay. I will be right back."
oh no, Doug. Is this how you hookered for a weird lobster Gundam?
No hookering, no hookering.
Okay, good.
I mean, only
Really?
I can't make that much hookering in half an hour.
Who knows? It was 2003.
But this contender was like pretty much first row of the dealer's room at Otakon in
Mhm.
Baltimore,
Okay.
which so to give you an idea of that, it's a good sized dealer room, like a large con sized dealer room, and obviously you can't go. It's kind of one way traffic. You can't go out through the indoor. You have to go through the dealer's room.
Which takes about a half an hour.
So I book it, run through the dealer's room, like, and again, this is on concrete because it's the dealer's room floor, the exhibit
Right,
show
right.
floor. Run through the dealer's room, up one set of stairs to street level, about a, like, let's say two sides of a block to get back to the front entrance to the Baltimore Convention Center there.
Right.
Up the set of stairs back to the registration area was, um, to the one of the few ATMs that's in that building, like by the little cafe they had set up on the second floor.
Mm-hmm.
Wait about 10 minutes because again, it's like the one of the few ATMs in the entire building. Fidgeting the entire time. Get there, pay the insane, because it's one of those captive audience ATMs. So I'm paying like a $5 fee in 2004 money. Get out the cash, and then proceed to run. Hurry back down across the sky bridge, down the set of stairs, down the other set of stairs into the dealer's room, and give the dealer the money for the Devil Gundam figure.
Sure.
And I'm sure in hindsight, he probably would have sold it that quickly or anything else like that. But yeah, ambitious, early 20s Doug is like, here you go. Give me.
It's fine.
Yep.
Screaming, running around Otakon in like August, Baltimore heat.
Yep. Probably with a backpack. I don't recall if I did, but probably with a backpack on.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And I still have that figure to this day.
You have the weird lobster Gundam? How have I never seen it?
You've never visited my apartment?
It's true, but I have seen part of your Gundam collection before. Like, I'm surprised it never stuck out.
Well, we'll have to fix that. I'll have to send you a picture.
Yes, please. I would like to see the picture of the completed lobster Gundam. Thank you.
Yeah. And I emphasize this is just an action figure, not a model kit.
Right.
There's only one model kit of it, and it's the SD, the super deformed one, which just came back into production. Like they just produced a couple more, so I need to get it at some point when I'm done being a financially responsible adult, which is not fun. Yeah, it's not fun.
It's the worst. Fiscal
So
years.
yeah, seriously. Um, but yeah, I've purchased some other interesting things over the years
Mm-hmm.
from vendors. One of my all-time favorite Gundam designs is something that's never appeared in animation.
Mm-hmm.
Not even like in a manga. It's just kind of a line art thing that they did, but they've made a couple things called the Deep Striker, which the best way is to describe it that I can think of is um, think a Gundam, but instead of legs, it has just giant boosters,
Okay.
and it has a battleship cannon on one of its shoulders.
Sure.
It's just a giant mess of a design. Again, I like the gigantic weirdos.
Mm.
And they had made one figure of it that I had bought like with a tax return 1 year and stuff. I was like, that's cool. And then the 1 year I went to Anime Expo was pretty much a mistake because Anime Expo is never really that good. But I did find one dealer that had a kind of a very small SD figure of it from the Gundam Converge line, and I was very excited to get that. And I paid like $20 for it. And nowadays, you see that going for like 3 digits for an SD figure.
Jesus.
Maybe I mean 3 digits if someone's overcharging a little bit, but also like up close. I'd say sometimes like 50 or 70.
Wow.
Yeah, but I did get that. But then I had never been very serious into the Gundam modeling thing. I'd bought a couple things, like I'd bought one model kit here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of always, half said, oh, if they ever make a master grade, which is kind of a middle level Gundam kit of the Deep Striker, I would probably get it because it's my favorite scale to build in and my favorite design. Well, time makes fools of us all. For the 100th model kit in the master grade line, they announced they would be releasing the Deep Striker. It's like, well, shut up and take my money. So, Otakon, I want to say this was 2017. I think it was the first year after. Man, a lot of interesting sidebar. A lot of my interesting Gundam decisions happen at Otakon. I'm noticing a trend here.
Oh yeah. I'm
But
noticing that you go to Otakon and you buy a lot of Gundam stuff and no one's there to watch you.
yeah, well, the problem is nowadays I'm with people that are there to watch me and encourage me.
Ah, bad influence.
Yep.
I mean, I wouldn't be any help. Don't look at me.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yep. But anyway, I bought this. I bought the kit. I found like one vendor that had it for a pretty good price. I want to say it was $150, and most other places had it for like 180 or something significant like that. I was like, okay, that's a good deal. I'm not going to find it for anywhere else. I'm going to grab it. But it's Otakon, and I have lots of things to do and see and whatnot. And even though I had a hotel room at the Marriott Marquis, which is the connected hotel, I did not have time to bring it back to my hotel room.
Uh-huh.
And this is a big box. Like, this is a Gundam model box that is big enough that they put a handle on it.
Jeez.
Yep. It's like, 2.5 feet wide and stuff. It's beautiful box art, but also I'm carrying this for the better part with me for the better part of the day, only putting it down like if I'm sitting in a panel and can kind of like put it like between my legs as I'm sitting, so I can't like no one can just like grab it from me or anything like that and try to run off. Protect the precious.
Protect it at all costs.
And of course, I'm walking around and it's like every time I come out in the halls, someone's like, "Oh, you got it," and a couple other people like, "Oh man, I missed. They sold out of them. I didn't get a chance."
You're like,
So
hissing at people like it's mine.
my arm was so tired by the end of that day.
I bet. Oh my god. So like, how big is this thing?
I mean, roughly, I would say I'm looking at it now. It's not that far off from the Devil Gundam figure on the shelf. I would say roughly probably a 2 foot cube, give or take.
Mhm.
So maybe a little bit longer with the giant cannon adds a little bit of length to it.
The
But
giant cannon.
yep, yeah.
Oh my
um,
god. That's
so
awesome though. They're so cool looking. I mean,
yeah.
I bought one I don't know. Probably 2005. I found a Death Scythe model, like a teeny tiny, like a little one. Like there was a series that was that where they were like, and I say little one, I mean it literally would have maybe 12 inches, maybe. Um,
Hmm.
and I remember I was like, oh, that'd be fun to put together. And they opened the box up and I saw everything and I was like, wow, I hate myself. Okay, cool. And I did not finish that model. I ended up giving it to one of my friends because they had bought a couple more of them. So she had more of a complete set of them. And I got like an arm put together I was completely out of my league. I had no idea what I was doing. Gave it to her. I didn't know she finished it, so I know she has the Death Scythe model. But Death Scythe has always been my favorite of all the Gundams that I've seen, of all the Gundams like out there. I mean, there's been some really cool model kits, and I mean they have them displayed and stuff at all the dealers room tables and everything. But I don't know, there's just something about Death Scythe, and I know that sounds wicked like fangirly Gundam wing of me, but there's something about that Gundam model is just
And
really cool.
like when you like, and I will also say like technology for model kits has gotten better, but also it's also just been a thing where resources have gotten better. I mean, I've written a couple of guest articles for Gunpla 101, and when I got that Deep Striker kit, it kind of broke the seal, and I got really, like, I really found the hobby again. And even though it was only a couple years ago, I look at that model now, and I see look at like so many things. It's like I would do so many things differently now,
Mm-hmm.
which is a lot of great kind of nice personal growth of like, oh, you will get better, just practice and things like that. But
Right.
there's also, you can find both more kits online through like actual decent vendors, on like, so unlike some vendors who maybe like go to a con and think they have a captive audience, so they'll charge like twice as much for a kit, even the small ones.
Mm-hmm.
But also, and like just like tutorials or tools, it's it's so much more fascinating, and I've definitely found a couple more things at conventions that way. um, I will say, if you're a fan of the Death Scythe, the original one, not the Death Scythe Hell from the later half of the series, or the Hell Custom from Endless Waltz.
I mean, I love all of them.
But I will say the original Death Scythe just got a recent new model kit,
Diamond
and and
angels.
oh, I'm gonna be a real asshole now.
No.
And you can find, if you keep an eye out at Target, because Target now
The
stocks Gunpla.
Target?
Yep,
It's gonna be at Target?
it's been at Target.
What?
Yep.
My baby's sitting at Target and you didn't tell me?
If nothing else, you can also get just what they call the entry grade Gundam. They have just kind of one that looks like the original Gundam, or one that's kind of in red, white, and blue
Uh-huh.
stuff, and it is designed to be ridiculously easy to put
See,
together, and
see,
it's
that's the thing.
really
If you
fun.
just said like entry grade and I'm like, oh, there's 4 pieces. Click, click, click.
Oh, it's I mean, I will say this,
Mm.
like, so like most Gundams, including that, have the way they have the eyes is it's like they kind of like two yellow eyes with like black around it to kind of do stuff like that. And
Mhm.
most times, even in like the smaller ones, it's, you gotta like get a pair of tweezers and really line up that sticker just right.
Yep.
The entry grade does it with shadows. There's no sticker required, and it is some black max magic sorcery. It is so weird, but it is so cool when you see it happen.
What is this black magic?
So,
Oh
but
man, that's really cool. I mean, like I said, those model kits are insane. Like even just like simple model kits, like what was it, the ramen noodle kit that I wanted to get so bad, like just putting like a thing of ramen together.
yeah,
Like
I've
that.
I've I've built that.
Oh my god, but it's so cool.
I felt that. I've also like beyond Gundam. I've also done the big Magic Cart model.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
And
But
those Harus too, the Haru balls.
oh, the Haros. Yeah, there's a lot of different ones.
So many Haru balls. Thanks, Gundam Seed.
Well, they're also just they're inexpensive and they're easy to customize, so they're kind of the really really well built for that.
Right.
Um, One of the last models I'll bring up is they sometimes do like convention exclusives in Japan, and they've tried it a couple times here in America for so results.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but one year I couldn't go to Anime NYC, which seems like more and more is going to be every year, but just it's gotten so big. Which hey, good they're being successful, but I was in the hospital. um, friends.
Why are you in the hospital, Doug?
That's another story for next
No!
convention.
We're not
Um,
telling that story. It was a terrible story.
but anyway, I
I
mean,
lived that story. We're done. Anyways, you weren't there, and
but some friends got me what the special edition model kit from that was released at that one, and
mm-hmm.
even though it's just like the way that they do a lot of the special edition ones is it's like okay, it's the same model design, we're just going to use clear plastic or stuff like that,
Sure.
and it's for this movie called Gundam Narrative or Gundam NT, which is it's not good. But I love that kid because it was some friend, like I have so much fondness because some friends did something really nice for and thoughtful for me. They also got me a patch of from related like it was from Artist Alley, a patch for the Daryl the Living Dead Division Survivors um, thing, which was kind of one on point for the reason I was in the hospital, but also I promise there's a point related to what we had done at Anime NYC the previous year.
Mm-hmm.
So as a cosplayer, the things I really like to cosplay are what I call just kind of good groups, like ones that are either kind of made better by the more people you bring in. Just like even no matter if like again like I'm in the 501st, the more stormtroopers you have, the more impressive it looks, the more kind of people are like, okay, something's going on. Or just what I call the double take costumes, which is the someone walks by, sees you, and then you realize, then they it's like, wait a minute, is that? And they turn their head back, realizing what you're doing.
Uh-huh.
like oh, that's a deep cut reference or something like that.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So at the Anime NYC that year, they were promoting the second Gundam Thunderbolt movie, which Gundam Thunderbolt, the best way to describe the anime version of it, the manga has gone on way further than this, but think the grittiest war drama Gundam series possible with a Cowboy Bebop type soundtrack.
Ooh.
It's really fun, but they were kind of having the US premiere of the movie of the second one. And I had been reading the manga as you know, getting up to it and stuff. And there was one point where one character, the Living Dead division, has it's like his repair team, like the techs working on repairing his mobile suit, are like, oh, we even have T-shirts and a bunch of dudes just flexing, and they've got this logo on the back of some white T-shirts, and there's like it's a ridiculously funny looking panel,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just like, we could do that. Like everyone just get like army style pants, a cap if you want it. And I know a guy that can print T-shirts with the design. We just got to get a good, clean version of the image file, and we can do that. And it'll just be
Ooh.
kind of like, yeah, we're going to do this. It's going to be simple. It's going to be fun. And sure enough, we did it. And it was like, I want to say it was like $12. Like there was like, let's see, there was me, Zan from the Spirekin podcast, Tom Asnable, Pat's, and I think yeah, and so it was like $12 a shirt, so pretty good. And this was like a rush job. Like I gave them the art like Friday, like I sent it over like Friday afternoon,
Mm-hmm.
and they were ready for pickup by Tuesday. So I would get them, pick them up on Wednesday and go down to the con on Thursday. So pretty fast turnaround.
Sure.
And so, but so it's like, well, I could, chase you all for each what you guys owe, or you know what, the con's in November. Merry early Christmas. But it was in. We were the best thing about it is we were so we're wearing it all day, kind of mostly on Saturday because they had some events related to the premiere, which was going to be Sunday morning, earlier on Sunday. I think
Sure.
we actually did put them back on Sunday, and so like we kind of like someone like would just kind of walk by, and then okay, two of us would like meet up and like okay, we're just gonna walk through the room, catch them, and there'd be two of us like okay, that's neat. But the minute you got like five of us together, like all five of us together,
Uh-huh.
or four of us rather. I'm blanking on numbers. All of a sudden, people were just like, "Okay, this is a thing. I don't know what it is, but it's clearly a thing because there's a bunch of them." That was the best. And again, like this is again like everyone just had to wear like military style pants. Like go to your local army navy store, grab an inexpensive one if you want to get like a kind of army style cap to add to it. Go for it. I'm not gonna, don't overthink it. This is pretty easy. And so it's great, but like we got some autographs because again, one of the big things about Thunderbolt is the music. We got autographs by the people doing like the music. We got interviewed by a Japanese TV station, which I still have not seen that footage. It exists somewhere, and one of these days I'm gonna like find out which station it was. I'm pretty sure it was NHK. Find either someone in either talk to a friend who's a good interpreter or find an English speaking email address and say, how can I get to see this footage? Like how can we make this happen? Like I'm glad like just but anyway we got that. We went to the panel and the people from Sunrise, the studio that animates it, took our picture, and we posed and stuff like that. Oh, that's pretty cool. And then the next morning we're like, I'm looking through Twitter and stuff and seeing like finding stuff and it's like, hey guys, Yasuo Otagaki, the mangaka for Gundam Thunderbolt, retweeted us. It's like okay.
What?
Yep.
What? Wait, what?
Yep.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
So and again like it was what made it fun was it was very minimal commitment, but the thing that added to it was doing it with a bunch of friends, and the more the merrier. um but like they did like a VIP package for the concert where you pay a little more, um and you got like early seating, and you got a poster for the movie because the way they did it was they showed the movie and then they had a concert with all the music.
Cool, that's cool.
And so I have that. My original poster got damaged, um, just for stupid reasons that I can't really discuss on the podcast. But this year at Anime Boston, Pat's Prime on Twitter, so give him a shout out. Surprised me by giving me his copy of the poster. He's like, "This means so much more to you than me. It's going to the right. It's going to the right home." And as soon as I got it home, I put it into a frame that, even though it's not the right size frame, it's in a frame to keep it protected until I can have it professionally framed with like some photos of us and everything.
Right, with like some kick-ass gold like indestructible frame.
Yeah, seriously.
I want
So,
the biggest, tackiest, best frame for this ever.
well, okay, we are going to come back to frames because there is another story I have about Gundam stuff and frames.
Oh boy.
But one of the other costumes that I do, like again, I love the double take costume. It's one of my favorite things to do. So, I it was 2 years later, or no, it was actually at Otakon, maybe that year, maybe the following year, I can't remember. Um, I wanted to do one character that's only in one episode of the original Gundam series, and his turn is kind of a meme, like has a meme around him. It's a character called Tamara, who's the cook of the mothership of the Gundam. And there's this whole bit of, oh, the white base, we're almost out. We need more salt. We can't make the food taste good. We have no salt. And it's this guy in just the Earth Federation uniform with like a chef hat and a white apron on. So I reached out to our friend Minnie Mal, Colleen.
Yep.
Who I was just kind of asked. You know, I put the call out on just social media, and they responded, and they're like, "Yeah, I can probably make that for you." They did an awesome job, made the Federation uniform shirt for me, and so I walked around Otakon as with the white apron and the chef hat on over the Federation uniform and a giant empty salt shaker. And watching people who knew Gundam walk by and realize who I was so much fun. Because it was like there was a couple times like I would just be walking through the halls of the convention center, and I'd hear someone and then I'd hear just the kind of like, I swear you'd hear like the tire screech sound, and all of a sudden I hear the footsteps of someone running up to catch me because they realized what I was doing. Like, and oh my god, I got to get a picture of this.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Once again, I got my picture taken by sunrise.
Yay!
Like they thought it was awesome. The Gundam photo shoot was a very small group. Was a big hit there. Everyone had a lot of fun. I loved that photo shoot because they had kind of people from every kind of Gundam series, and everyone's just like, there's no, oh, you're from this series, oh, you're from that series. It's, hey, you're all from Gundam, cool, yay, let's all have fun.
Yay!
And I did bring it back to Anime NYC the following year, and I think my picture got posted on Reddit. It's like, so it's the caption of like, this guy's costume wins, everyone else go home. And it's such a simple costume, like.
See, that's the best ones though. Like the best costumes are the ones that, one, turn people's heads because they're like, oh my god, are you really cosplaying that? And two, are so stupidly easy. It's like, why wouldn't more people dress up as this? Because it's so damn easy.
Yep, exactly.
Like,
so
save me from the bear fur. I could have been like wearing an apron and just handing out cookies as Percy all this time, but no, I had to wear the bear fur. No. Stupid.
So I mentioned though things in frames. So this isn't really a convention story, but it's a convention like experience that I have to share. I did a semester in Japan in fall 2005.
Sweet.
Which was awesome and everything like that. And of course I got some Gundam stuff there. So shocking, I know.
Shocked and appalled.
But there was this really awesome thing that was happening, and it was kind of in a couple spots, and it was in the Ueno Museum in Ueno, which is part of Tokyo.
Mm-hmm.
It was this art exhibit called Gundam Generating Futures, and it's hard to find information on it nowadays, which is really frustrating because I'd love to find some old archives and everything. Anyway, it's coming, and it's like, I want to say it was late November. I'm only in Japan for a few more weeks, but I was like, I got to go see this. This is like a once in a life. This exhibit is all kind of crazy modern art type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
by artists that are kind of the Gundam generation. They grew up with Gundam.
Sure.
Really big fans like that. And it's like, cool, this is going to be weird and awesome, and I'm going to love it. And like at that point, kind of the centerpiece of it was a full-size replica of what the jet fighter, kind of what's called the core fighter, that makes kind of the torso, that transforms into the torso of the Gundam, looks like after the end of the final battle of the series.
Sure.
this is before, life-size Gundam statues are even a thought in anybody's mind.
Right.
So it's like, that's going to be cool. And my friend in the semester abroad program, Peter, who was just like, I don't know anything about Gundam, but you seem super excited about this. And just the fact that you're excited about it is probably going to make this a blast to go do. I'm in. Let's go. So we went on a Saturday, and we're like, of course, because it's me, I had to be there like early, like basically there for doors opening that day. It's like not the grand opening thing, but
Right.
first way there. And we're in line and stuff, and so here's this, and this one Japanese guy comes over and sees me, and Peter and I are both in the very basic Japanese class, so he's talking to us a little bit and stuff. And at this point, I want to point out that Peter is Vietnamese,
Okay.
so he looks very Asian.
Sure.
I don't know how to say this kind of more politically correct, so I apologize if I offend anyone. But the Japanese guy's talking to us and watching his worldview shatter as the Asian guy knows nothing about Gundam. The big 6'2", awkward, nerdy white guy knows tons, knows all about this exhibit, is very excited, is excited that Yoshiyuki Tomino, the creator of Gundam, or the original director, did a special piece for this, and everything like that, and how he's been reading about it online for weeks and is really looking forward to this. And there's going to be a core fighter after, based off the end battle of Abaoku and everything. And just watching this guy's mind just trying to wrap his head around it, like not malicious, just like not at all what he was expecting.
Right.
And it was so fun. But I got a poster for the show, like, has the dates and everything like that, and the very stylized logo. I got a poster from that and brought it home and everything, and that's what I have in a frame, professionally framed and everything. And that's if the house is on fire and can only grab one thing, that's what I'm grabbing.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a really fun experience. And I mentioned Yoshiyuki Tomino as the kind of original director of Gundam, and kind of the figurehead of it. Kind of the best way to kind of describe it is what George Lucas is to Star Wars.
Sure.
Like, it doesn't do everything now, but his influence is undeniable and really kind of got it off the ground. So, Anime NYC, I guess this was 2019. I doing press for AnimeCon's TV, and they announced that they have Yoshiyuki Tomino there.
Sure.
And I'm like, well, cool, I'm gonna go do this, And because he was in such high demand, and this is the second time I've seen him in New York City. This was before I did press. There was New York Anime Fest, like 2007, 2008. They had him as a guest.
Mm-hmm.
And they did not know what to do with him. Like, they have him giving a keynote speech in kind of they basically you make at the Javits Center, you can make a room out of air walls, like on all four sides.
Yeah. I've been to the Javits before. Yeah.
They put him doing his keynote. The stage shares a wall with like bands rocking out on the other side.
What?
So you can, yeah, it's like the creator of one of the most prolific anime series of all time, and we can barely hear him giving his keynote.
What?
Yeah.
What?
That was, but I want to emphasize that was New York Anime Fest, not Anime NYC.
Right.
So Anime NYC 2019 rolls around, and we go, and so now I've started doing work for AnimeCon's TV, and I'm like, well, get my press badge and everything. And it's like, do you want an interview? And it's like, well, they're gonna do it. Like, of course. And the way they do it is kind of press conference style. Like, everyone gets like one question,
right?
As long as they have time and everything. And they have us all just kind of sit down in this small room, like if this, post COVID, this room would make me nervous for how small and close packed it was.
Sure.
But it's like, whatever, cool. I'll set up my tripod and everything like that. And then I realize that the seat that I have taken is center of the room. And he sits down basically across the table from me. And I'm like, what? and I'm just like recording the whole the whole section while everyone talks and asks their questions and stuff like that until it's my turn. But as he's like answering another question, I have to like lean back. Thankfully, this is, was using my camcorder, and I had it on the small tripod on the table, and I had to just lean back, take a photo of like my camera with like how far close it is, and I'm just like, and I like tweet out something like, sometimes I do some pretty awesome stuff for this podcast. It was very cool.
That's wicked awesome.
I have also, back in fall 2006, so my final semester of college, he was at they were doing some Gundam movies, kind of, they were like, oh, it's the American premiere of the Zeta Gundam movies. And we're going to have him at the Chicago International Film Festival. I had done my round trip flights, and made sure I had mileage built up.
Mm-hmm.
So I basically flew from Albany, New York, to Chicago by way of Detroit, which, if you look at a map, that's a little bit of backtracking. But I basically got round trip flight to Chicago for $15. Wow. And got to see the movies there and him talk a little bit there. And it was funny because there were a couple of people wearing cosplay. But I remember talking to one of my professors who was just like, I think it was like European history or something, because I majored in history, which was an interesting life choice. But he was just kind of he was like, okay, I'm going to be a little strict on what I consider an excused absence. I want to really make sure you're not missing important stuff. But if you talk to me, we'll see what we can do. I'm not going to be completely immovable. And so I was just like, well, I've got this trip coming up. And it's one of those, I'm not lying, I'm just omitting key details.
Right.
I'm going to Chicago for a conference. I'm seeing a presentation on Japanese media at this conference, and they've got a very important Japanese film director there. And it's like, I'll make sure my assignment's in and everything like that. And it's like, oh, it's like, oh yeah, you're with that like anime club, right? So Japanese media. It's like, yeah, I'm the president of the anime club.
Yes, I am the president. Thank you.
Yeah. So, and it was like, oh yeah, he's like, yeah. It's like, oh yeah, that seems relevant. It's like, I know you're focused on Asian culture and stuff like that. That's cool. It's like, your advisor is in charge of does a lot of the Asian culture and history stuff, and is the advisor for the club. I know you wouldn't be doing this without that's fine. That counts as an excused absence, because it's actually like something. It's like, it sounds like it's a really good experience and a really important thing, and you're telling me like 6 weeks in advance. Go for it. And then so it's like, whatever, like, go to Chicago for the International Film Festival. First time ever going to Chicago, by the way. No idea how to get around the town. Found out that I flew into O'Hare, and my friend that I was meeting, who was also doing it, flew into Midway. So we had to kind of meet somewhere in the middle to get to our hotel. And then, saw it was fun. And then came back like on Monday. So it's like, oh, so how was the conference? I know it took me a second. Like, my brain had to process. It's like, oh yeah, it was really good.
Oh, it's fine. Yeah, it's great.
So I've seen Yoshiyuki Tomino in America 3 times now, and he's probably not doing many more conventions because he's getting up there in age, unfortunately. But I've also Otakon 2019, I think. Um, I got the chance to interview for the podcast. One of the few times I've done a Japanese guest
Mm-hmm.
interview for things, because it's a little weird going through an interpreter for an interview, but I got to interview Toru Furuya, who is the voice of Amuro Ray, the main character of the original Gundam series,
Mm-hmm.
as well as Yamcha from Dragon Ball Z, as well as Sambo from One Piece, as
Ah.
well as Tuxedo Mask from Sailor Moon,
Oh my god, I've seen him now.
as well as Seiya from Saint Seiya. The guy's had a bit of a career.
I mean, I guess you've seen a couple of those things.
Yeah.
One or two.
And he was so much fun to talk to. Like, he was very gracious and stuff like that, and teasing me for, playfully teasing me that I'm wearing a Gundam related shirt,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and things like that. But like, incredibly generous guy. I was like, okay, let's make sure we get a piece. Like, he's like, you clearly know your stuff, you're fun, and I want to get a picture of all the people I've been taking an interview. Can I get a picture with you? It's like, oh, can you get a picture with me? Yeah. And meanwhile, like, I am very good of not getting starstruck in the moment, but as soon as that moment is past, is when I just like, and now I'm going to melt.
Right.
I'm going to melt into a puddle of happy now.
Right. Professional.
Yep. So
That's awesome.
So
See, Gundam's done a lot of good in your life too. It's not just an expense account. It's
I've definitely, and I to this day I maintain that because Gundam was one of the biggest anime franchises that I'm a fan of. I've met some of the best friends I've ever made. It's helped me grow because I've done panels on it.
mm-hmm.
I've now presented ones. The fact that, again, like Otakon 2020, when they had to do a virtual one, accepted my panel for a virtual accepted my application for a virtual panel. It's like, that's like, they only had a very limited one. It's not like they have 8 panel rooms going. They've only got a couple, and the fact that they accepted mine to broadcast to people, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things that I think, don't be afraid to wear your fandom on the sleeve a little bit. I mean, sometimes you have to pretend to be a normal human, but having that passion, and it'll pop up in weird ways.
And sometimes you have to carry a huge salt shaker around.
A huge empty salt shaker, or sometimes you have to carry a huge model kit box around.
Yeah, or a huge model kit box.
Uh,
Oh my god, Doug, this always a pleasure. Always.
Pleasure is all mine.
No, seriously, it's mine. Anything you'd like to promote while you're here?
Well, I will shout out that for real this time, there is now a new episode of Anime Cons TV as of this week.
No way.
My Otakon 22 report is up. I had to record it 3 times because the first time I was recording it with my webcam and the app froze as I tried to save it.
Oh boy.
The second time I did not check my framing in the shot, so talked to my camera for about 20 minutes and then looked at the footage, and it's like, oh, the top third of my head is missing. So third time's the charm. But we got it, and that's gonna be good. So always check out AnimeCons TV.
Mm-hmm.
I hope we'll be getting some more content and everything like that. So, and you can always reach out to me there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And just, now the cons are back, keep wearing your mask, keep being safe, because I don't know anybody I personally don't know anyone that got COVID at Otakon, and I think part of it is because people were very good about wearing their masks and they had a very good policy. So let's keep doing that. Keep each other safe.
Yeah. Hi, I went to Anime Boston, made it the whole weekend, didn't get COVID, and I go to work for like 10 minutes and some gross customers near me, and here we are.
Yep.
Here we are.
So
the worst. People are gross. So I do podcasts. I don't have to be around people. All right. Let's see. I guess I'm just gonna promote that book thing again. I actually, You'll be the first to hear about it, Doug. I may or may not have started the sequel to it already.
Oh, I enjoyed the first one immensely.
So, I mean, it'll probably be like another 7 years before I get my act together and actually put it out. But the first chapter has been solidified. So,
Nice.
who knows? In a year or 2 or 5, I'll probably put another book out. But for right now, you can buy my first book. That could have gone worse. Life Lessons from a Dinosaur Cosplayer. It's on Amazon in paperback and Kindle form. And $1 of the proceeds from each book from now until the end of time go to Planned Parenthood, Sandy Hook Promise, and Trevor Project. So remember, if you're buying a book for you or a friend, part of your contribution is going to help those organizations that I care a great deal about.
Those are all very good causes.
Right? And I keep adding to the list when like more bullshit in the world happens. So pretty soon I'm gonna have to like up the book price so I make at least $1 off of it. It's gonna be donation based completely for this book. Like I'm not gonna make any money off of it, and I don't care. Guys, thanks again so much. Doug, thank you again so much for breaking into the emergency backup list. And I will catch you guys next week. Bye.
Bye, everybody.